Okay, we're doing an interview. My name is Dominick Spano. We're doing an interview with Jeff Kimmel of Kimmel's Irish Pub. I interview YouTubers who do movie reviews, and I actually stumbled across Kimmel Irish Pub. Good movie reviewer. I'm really into it. So it's a very good movie reviewer. Nice and just straight to the point. Tells you what he thinks of the reviews, and I really got into it. I really love his style, actually. So, how'd you founded Jeff Kimmel? How'd you founded Kimmel's Irish Pub? Talk to me about Kimmel Irish Pub.
Sure. So Kimmel's Irish Pub is actually a bar I built in my basement. So that's where the name came from. What happened was when I first got married, before I was a bachelor, I always watch NFL football. So I would always go to the bar because that's where they had all the games, right? That was the only place you could go see them. And then I got married and my wife was like, well, why don't you build a bar? And then you won't have to go to the bar and you could be here. So my father-in-law, very handy. He and I built the bar in my basement with the bricks. If you see the tour of Kimmel's Irish Pub, he helped me build all that. And while I was building that, I put in kind of a movie room. We actually had a projector. My wife had a business that had a projector. That business ended, so I used a projector in my basement to start showing movies. And then, so I had that set up for a while, but I wasn't doing movie reviews at this point. I just had Kimmel's Irish Pub where I would watch football and occasionally watch movies. Then I started watching movies more and more and more on a regular basis, and I enjoyed them. And a friend of mine had suggested, he started talking about starting some sort of kind of business or website about combining three things that you are passionate about. He said that'll make it unique, because if you just do one thing, everybody does that one thing. Everybody does movie reviews, right? So he had his three things, and I thought to myself, wow, what would be my three things? And it was movie reviews, it was beer, and then fantasy football was the three things that I came up with. I was like, that's what I would start my business around. Then at the same time, I was reading books on how to be a better public speaker, or how to lead people, those kinds of books. And within one of those books, it said one way that you can improve your public speaking, the way your engagement with other people, is to start your own YouTube channel, because it gets you practice of speaking, and doing it off the cuff and not having a script, all that kind of stuff. So all of that combined, I was like, I'm going to start Kimmel's Irish Pub, the webpage, which is going to be movie reviews, fantasy football, and then a beer. Now, the other two kind of have taken a back seat, and I've just been doing movie reviews, but that's how it all came to be, from the development of the bar all the way through to the website and the YouTube channel.
That's a great story. And I watched the tour of Kimmel's Irish Pub yesterday, but I had seen it before. I just kind of regret. I got to tell you, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Did you ever get that helmet into the wall? I mean, I know it was years ago that you gave the tour, but did you ever get the helmet into the wall?
Never got the helmet into the wall. I started that project probably 10 times, and I'm not as handy as my father-in-law. Like, when he was helping me build all this, he was like, here, now go put this and hammer it in there, or do this and that. So I thought with all that experience, I'd be able to cut a hole in the wall precisely and do that. I never got the nerve to cut actually into the wall. It's all outlined, it's measured perfectly, it's ready to go, but I'm afraid to cut because I know I'm going to mess up my own wall. So I never got to hang it up into the wall.
We don't want that. So I guess, has Kimmel's Irish Pub, like you kind of said, to help your professional life to an extent, has Kimmel's Irish Pub, I think you're good at doing what you do, but has it increased or helped your, professional life or public speaking or items of that nature?
I feel it has. The way I kind of do my movie reviews is I only do really one take, unless something really bad happens. One take, yeah. But I do it, as you've seen, like I'll do the opening, talk about what it's about. Then I check in throughout the movie to tell you what I'm learning about watching the movie. And then at the end, I summarize it. And I do it all, right. I don't prepare. Sometimes when the movie's ending, I think a little bit, but I don't practice, I don't prepare. So it's really helping me being spontaneous and responsive. So I think in my professional life, it has helped. So, now when you're talking to people, I don't really have to prepare. As long as I'm, I know the work that I'm doing and I'm very comfortable, I don't have to go into a meeting and prepare. Like previously, you would create a presentation, and you would review the presentation. You would maybe sometimes film yourself doing the presentation and do all. I don't do any of that. Like I will know the material, but I'll go into a presentation, go slide by slide, and be able to speak to it, just spontaneously and not have to practice or anything like that.
Well, that's kind of why I connected with Kimmel's Irish Pub. But whenever I don't remember how I found it exactly. A lot of, I mean, I have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 top YouTubers, and you're kind of like in a list now, to tell you the truth, Kimmel. But some people, most people, they have a wall of pop funkos behind them. They have special lights coming this way and that way, and they're reading a script. They read it over, and that takes a lot of work, and that's work some of the time. But you can't have like 4 or 5 people. We're all doing the same thing. What I like about Kimmel Irish Pub is it's kind of like it's a kind of unscripted kind of. I mean, you just watch the movie, and almost immediately when it ends, you go in. It's kind of obvious. Oh, the check-in, but you go into it almost immediately when it ends, and you just talk from your heart. You talk from what's on your mind. So that's kind of what I like it.
Yes, I mean sometimes I mean that's the way I like to do it. Again, that helps me grow as a person, and I think it gives a more authentic review of the movie rather than thinking about it and thinking of heavy-handed words and all that kind of stuff. But I do feel sometimes that I stumble a little bit, ums and ahs, at least I feel that when I'm saying it, and I was like, that wasn't the best, but I never reshoot it again unless unless something happens, like I said. But that's the only thing. Sometimes I feel it's like, okay, that wasn't the best because I was thinking while I was speaking, and so my delivery didn't land as well as I hoped it would.
As a fan of Kimmel's Irish Pub, I mean, I picked up on that, but it gives it kind of you literally say sometimes, oh, that wasn't the best. Then you say, oh, I'm not going to be shooting it. You're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, I like the kind of homemade feel of it because that happens in real life. I mean, not everything is scripted. Not everything is, it's not a schedule for everything. So it kind of gives it a homemade type of feel.
Yeah.
To Kimmel's Irish Pub.
Yeah.
So I noticed that you're a real fan of, like, I'm trying to figure out, what's your favorite genre of movie? It's kind of hard for me to put my finger on it. I'm thinking maybe older movies. You seem to like horror movies too, some. What really get you going with this?
Not so much horror movies. I'll watch them, on occasion. I do. Now, when I was a kid, a young adult, I guess, living with my father, he really liked scary movies, so I really got into that then. In general, I'll watch the bigger scary movies, not some of I mean, every now and again, if something pops up, I'll watch it as well, but I don't go looking for them. Really, what I look for is people I know in it. So, and that draws me to a lot of films that aren't well known, like Bruce Willis and Nicolas Cage. They make like every film now. And so if they're in something, I'll watch it, even though like only 5,000 people have seen it so far. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So really, I like action movies, comedy movies, I think are the top 2, outside of superhero and like Star Wars types of movies. I really enjoy those. I love Star Wars. Star Wars, if I was asked what was my favorite film, I always go with Return of the Jedi from the Star Wars franchise, but I'm a big fan of that. And then I'm a big fan of superheroes, specifically the DC side of things. I grew up as a little kid watching Super Friends. That was a cartoon on Saturday mornings, and it was just all the DC superheroes, Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, all that kind of stuff. So now, as I'm an adult, I used to watch the cartoon. Now, when they come out real life, superhero movies, I really enjoy those. So, and I watch the Marvel ones, but I'm a bigger fan of DC.
We're in the same camp. I mean, I'm exactly the same. I figured that you were probably more of a DC guy, even though maybe you changed it because it was a while ago. You had I think you had Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern. Then you had like one Captain America. So he's got to be a DC guy. He's probably a DC guy.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, some background on that. I have this is my office for work, and over here there's a closet, and it has all of my costumes. So when I was a director of a call center for a period of time, and we would have Halloween, and one time I just bought it was Captain America because it was a cool costume. I bought it, but then like every year after that, I was becoming a superhero. So it's Batman, Superman. I have Iron Man. I have all these costumes that I wear, and they're all right over there.
Would you ever wear them for Kimmel's Irish Pub if a new Superman comes out?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I like it. I like it when you said, "Look," I mean, I said to you, do it kind of like in a lower tech way. You said, "Look at the Baywatch review," and I saw.
Yeah, I started doing that. I was trying to get dressed in the part and seeing how many views I can get that way, but didn't really take off.
I get the impression I mean, everyone's different. I get the impression from getting to know you and talking to you. I mean, you're definitely a family guy, and you seem like you have a I don't want to say a real career outside of this, but you seem like you have a professional, like this is like a hobby. Like you're not sitting around worrying about subscribers and how many I'm going to get, and how much money. I know you don't get incentivized. You have over 1,000 folks, but like, are you trying to build it, or are you just having fun?
Yeah, I think I'm just having fun. When I first started it, you know, it was for more professional development. You know, I thought that over time, maybe it would be some secondary income that would roll in, that would be fun. Now I started it in 2016. Here we are 7 years later, and I still have under 600 subscribers, but I still do it every night. You know, it's almost like an addiction. I feel odd if I don't do it. You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't watch my movie last night and make a recording and do all that. But you know, so and that's the other thing. Like I even researched after a period of time, like how do I increase my subscribers to get to that 1,000, to make some more money, or you know what I mean, just to increase it. And really what I've come down to, it's the content. You know, if I'm doing everything, if I'm putting everything together, they say make sure you're releasing a lot of videos. I'm doing one just about every day. I'm posting it on social media, not as much as I like, but you know, I'm doing that. All that kind of stuff that they suggest that you do, I'm already doing. I've set the tags up, all that stuff. So they say it narrows down to your content. Like if people aren't subscribing, it's because of the content you're putting out there. So that means I should change what I'm doing. But I like what I'm doing, you know? Yeah. And I enjoy it. And so that's when it made me realize if I get subscribers, great. I'd like people to see it, but that's not what it's about. You know, it's not about making money on YouTube. It's more of a hobby and something fun I like to do.
I know it had to be. I mean, I'm going to ask you something now. The YouTube, you know, I've interviewed the people who I talk to. I've interviewed maybe one or two others. Are kind of smaller channels. Well, one person had over 12,000, you know, 12,000, but that's considered small. I mean, to make a go of you, you know, thank God you have a job and, you know, Family Guy. It seems like if this just went away, you'd be perfectly fine. But to make a real go of a YouTube is incredibly challenging. It's not something that you could say, you know, to say I'm magically a YouTuber, I'm magically a social influencer. It's not that easy. I mean, it's a hard little thing to get off the ground.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, what happens is they have something that makes them go viral, right? They have that one thing, that one video, and then they, you know, a lot of people continue to come back and that increase their, you know, and I don't think what I do is ever gonna go viral. It's not, you know, just me sitting in a chair talking. So it's gonna be more organic. So, you know, and I think, you know, I don't know but I think if I organically build my base, that'll continue. And my thought was it would grow exponentially, you know, so as soon as you get more subscribers, like it grows off of those subscribers, and it would have been faster. Whereas other people go viral and then everybody comes in, and if they like the content, they stay for a little bit and then leave, and that subscribership kind of dwindles because it was driven by one event, one viral event, and now that isn't happening all the time. They're not getting that. Whereas if I grow organically, the same stuff keeps coming, so people aren't going to naturally leave because that's why they came from what had happened. So,
see, I think you should just keep doing what. I mean, again, it doesn't say. I think you should just keep having fun. I mean, second people change it up, then people like, oh no, he's different now. I just don't want to watch you anymore. So having fun.
Yeah.
Did you? I mean, I kind of like the concept of like, you know, a guy like you get to go down to Kimmel's Irish. Like I like the concept of you get to go down to Kimmel's Irish Pub every single night and watch a movie. I just think that's kind of awesome. Like if I had a family and stuff, that's kind of what I would want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, so I get up in the morning, kids to school, breakfast, all that stuff. Then I go to work, and then I just go up. I mean, the office is downstairs as a part of Kimmel's Irish Pub. It's just used to be a workout room. Now it's an office, and I go upstairs. You know, the kids are home, so then it's like homework and dinner and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then around 8:30, everybody starts to go to bed. And as they go to bed, I come back downstairs and I go to Kimmel's Irish Pub. It's kind of like my relaxing time. And again, it's, you know, there's many things you could do. You could read a book. You could, you know, I don't know, write different things. There's a lot of different things you can do with your free time. And I feel empty if I don't go and watch a movie and record it and get it ready to be published.
Does it take you a long, like, so you watch a movie, the movie's an hour and a half. Does it take you a long time to go through this process? Like, do you spend a lot of time editing and going through this process? Is it like second nature to you after 6, 7 years?
Yeah, so it's pretty, I have it set up. I use Corel as my video editor, right? So and everything, like I do have a light that I was at the last job I worked out, my people who reported me bought me like a light that shines from the back end, makes it look
You
a
do
little
have a
bit
light.
more.
Yeah, you said it last time. The light wasn't working. You told us this
Yeah.
morning.
And then I have the ceiling lights, and it's all controlled by Alexa. So I just say action, and then all the lights come on and the thing comes on. So then I can start speaking. And then after I'm done, I say cut. So I only have to, when I get, there's usually 3 pieces of recording that I have. And then I don't know if you've ever noticed at the end, I put my thumb up when I'm done. And that's kind of my visual cue. So I could see, all I have to do is cut the beginning of every piece. So it's right at the start of where it should be. And then I could flow them all together. And I have the subtitles or the title of the actual, here's the title of the movie, here's the time that I checked in, and here's the credits. I have that all built in. So when I dump in my files, I just cut the front and the end, and they all come together. And I look for that last cue where my thumbs up, I cut right there, and then I made the film, and it just renders, and then it's done. So editing really doesn't take long at all for me. I mean, it takes 10 to 15 minutes now. I've had that opening piece built. That took a while to build that. And then that's it.
Seem like you have it down to a science. Yeah, how'd you come? I like the music. I like it when it starts. The music. How'd you come up with the opening piece, the music?
Yeah. It's for all that so that was tricky because you have to find non-copyrighted music that's free to use. And I believe I found that through YouTube has an audio section, and you can get all their free music from there. So I went through there and tried to find something that is Irish or Celtic that sounded, kind of fun to use. And so that's where I got that piece of music and timed it to the videos flashing all around.
I see. I mean, does your family support Kimmel's Irish Pub? I kind of get the impression your immediate family likes Kimmel's Irish Pub.
They do. So now they don't watch all my movie reviews, but they are subscribers. And everything now today with the kids is YouTube. I mean, my daughters watch YouTube. My son, he's going to be 4, he watches YouTube. But yeah, they fully support it. And whenever there's a movie that they want to see, they'll come down. Sometimes they'll go into the review with me, and they'll do that. Changes the camera angle and everything like that, and that's a lot of fun. But if they're not in it, that's okay. They understand, and they do support it.
I seen, yeah, your daughter did a couple, like, we're gonna do like more children's type of movies, and have your daughter's obviously younger, so it's like she maybe recommended it or wanted you to talk about it. I kind of got a kick out of you sitting there as a grown man watching like kids movie. I mean, real kids movie.
Yeah.
And then trying to give a real review.
And it's funny, for that one, that was the dog movie, right? That was the most recent one. Yeah. The actual writer and producer messaged me on Facebook and says, hey, what kind of films do you do movie reviews of? And I said, I'll do a movie review of anything. And he said this was one of the ones that it was a passion project for him. I evidently did one of his other films. I didn't realize it. And he said, would you review this one? And that's when I brought my daughter and I said, hey, let's review this film. And so I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, no, that worked out pretty good, I thought. Have any friends ever said they wanted to get involved, or it seems like it's only you? You've had so many videos, it's unbelievable. I looked at the back catalog and it's like he's done a lot, and I mean a lot of videos.
Yeah, as I looked at it just this past Friday, I was looking at something. Looking into like try and get more information out about me, and I was writing up a little blurb, and I did over 1,329 movie reviews so far. That's not including the beer and the fantasy football, but yeah, over like 1,300 movie reviews. I had a brother-in-law who's really into movies, and we talked about it once, about doing it together. I said, whenever you want to. It just never aligned. We did talk and said, hey, because he was big into movies, he talks about them all the time. I said we should do this together. We used to have a guys' night movie night with my brother-in-law, my father-in-law, an uncle, all that kind of stuff, family members, a couple of friends and stuff. My in-laws have even a bigger movie theater kind of thing that we would go over there and watch that. And I also asked them, can I bring my camera over and let's all talk about the film? They weren't into that, so, so that was it.
Okay.
But my one brother-in-law had suggested that or we talked about doing it, and it just never came to fruition.
Okay, I understand. No, it's tough to get that off the ground.
Yeah.
Who is it like? I think that you like. I'm trying to think. Who would you say is your favorite actor? I like it when you said you love Nicolas Cage. I love Nick Cage also.
Yeah, I like Nicolas Cage and Bruce Willis. I would say, boy, so it's odd. I follow Ryan Reynolds for some reason on Instagram. So he's one of my favorite actors. I liked him back from Van Wilder. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. That was a great film, and just to see what he's done with his career over the time. So I'll watch anything with him in it. I think he's one of my favorite actors too.
That sounds pretty good. And another thing I noticed about Kimmel's Irish Pub is you like to laugh. You don't take it too seriously. You're not sitting there with a puss on your face like this is so serious. I'm going to give this most intense review. It's just like, you just like to laugh and, you have a good time. It really does seem like a neighborhood place. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. It makes me think of like a neighborhood uncle or like a neighborhood cousin or something. You go down to the basement and watch the movie or something.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, I have a friend coming over today. So today's the championship games for the NFL. So it starts at 3:30. He's going to come over. Just going to come down to the bar. We're just going to hang out. We're going to watch football today and do all that. So yeah, I mean, I like having people over, hanging out, just do that kind of stuff. Maybe if we watch a film, great. But I also have a pool table, as you saw. So
I like pool table,
darts, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I don't take it too seriously. Sometimes when I watch film, I try and be, I don't know, and this might be a bad thing, but I don't want to be hypercritical, because these people put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into what they do. And for this guy who just sits on a couch and, armchair quarterbacks watching a movie saying, oh, this is, so I try not to be too hypercritical, because they're talented. Just because I didn't like the film or something stood out to me that I thought was an opportunity for the film and stuff like that, I try and be careful about that and not really, talk poorly about the film. Because I don't want them to see it and be like, oh man, how disrespectful. I like to give my thoughts and hey, this is what I think of. I don't think I can do your job, that's for sure. But here's some things I would have done differently. So sometimes that's hard too, when you see a film that's not that great and you don't want to talk poorly on it, and try and stay at least somewhat neutral when somebody's going to be watching your review.
Actually, it's funny you touch upon that, is because the way you deliver your message, I can tell that you've worked, you're someone who has the truth. I mean, you've had experience probably in business or whatever field you're in, because the way you deliver the message is in kind of a ginger way. I haven't watched all your videos obviously, but I never saw you say, hey, this stinks. This stinks. This is terrible. I've never seen you say that. Even when you don't like it, you say it in a way that's kind of nice. I mean, or it's like, oh, here's room for improvement and such. I mean, it's
Right.
important, I used to be a background talent on movies. This was years ago, and so much work goes into it. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much work goes into it.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. You know what I mean? I just like, you think, oh, I could write a good movie. Don't sit down and try and write a movie. You know what I mean? Like I did that. I was like, oh, I might be able to write something, but it's not easy. It's to think of all the intricacies that go into every movie. Sure, I have a concept of a plot line, but like to put that all together and say, okay, now here's a opening scene, fade in, and then credits, all that kind of stuff, just to think of that. And then all the background things that go involved. And then every aspect of it, from shooting it, the camera angles, the dialogue that they say, it's phenomenal what they do. It's very interesting. And when you think about trying to do it yourself, it's like, okay, I'm better at just saying, well, instead of doing that, maybe you should have done this, instead of rewriting the whole thing or, reshooting it.
I agree. You're right, Jeff Kimmel. And you seem to get movies, you seem to get all different sources to find out about these. Sometimes they say IMDb, sometimes they see you say TikTok, sometimes they see you say YouTube. You seem to have people message you from all over platforms to tell you what to watch.
Yeah. So I mean, I get every Tuesday is when the new streaming movies come out. So I'll get hit with a Redbox email, a Vudu email, IMDb, saying these are all the new ones, and for the most part, they're all very much the same. Like something that's hitting on a Tuesday, it's coming out. Like Megan The new doll movie just came out. So I just recently, that just came out on Tuesday. So that'll be coming out on my channel, but that's where the doll, it's a combination of Chucky, the doll Chucky from that and what was the other one? Well, anyway, you'll see the movie, but it's a doll movie, but that comes out on a Tuesday, so I get that information on new movies coming out. But then because of my TikTok feed, and I watch other people who, are very, very eloquent. They have a better vocabulary, and they talk really well about different movies. I'll listen to what they have to say. Hey, here are my top 10 movies of 2022. And I'll be like, okay, is there any in there that I haven't seen? Because if they are, I go right to IMDb, I add it to my wish list, and I just keep doing that. Now they a lot of them go to the movies. I can't necessarily do my type of review in the movies. I have to do it at home because of the check-ins and all that kind of stuff. So I have to wait until it comes out on streaming. But that's, a big factor in where I get my movie sources. So they come from all over the place. When you're going out and you're talking to people, and my family members all know I do this. So, hey, have you ever seen, and and so I was like, no, I haven't. I add it to my list. So and then I just look for them, and I try and when I do my movie reviews during the week, I try and keep it to an hour and a half, the movie, because you go to bed late and you got to get up for work. On the weekends I'll go 2-hour plus movies. So that's the I kind of filter them that way, and where you can find them. Some of them they'll be streaming, but they'll be like $19.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're not ready to
do
rent.
that.
So yeah, they're not gonna do that. So you gotta wait on those.
Yeah, I think you have the Megan review up. I believe you had that up. I've seen that from
Okay.
you. You rented that early access? Because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
I appreciate your commitment to Kimmel's Irish Pub, because I said he had to pay $20-25 to watch this at home.
Yeah. But and then that's the other thing too with releasing my reviews. So I'll watch like this week. So I won't release any on Saturday and Sunday. I usually release them Monday through Friday. And what I'll do, so I'll watch once Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and then in Monday I will render them all together so that they're individualized, and then I schedule them to be released. So like right now, I'm scheduled, all my reviews are up for all next week. Now they're not available yet, but they'll come out at 6 o'clock every day. So I set them up so I'm like a week in it. So if I took a week off, a week of reviews are still going to show, because I have like at least 5 or 6 ahead to get them published. So they just released. That's why I wasn't sure if Megan published or not, because I set them ahead. So I did that one on Tuesday, which means Wednesday morning or Wednesday after work, I render it, and then I set it for whatever the last review was the day after that one to go up.
I noticed it had to be a delay, because sometimes you're like, well, it's Christmas in a couple of days, but it's like January 5th or something. So I said, you got a little bit of a delay here.
Yeah.
Fine. I mean, you have a life. It makes sense for you from where you're sitting. Yeah.
And the other thing too, you don't know when people are going to watch these reviews. I always try and keep that in mind too. Like I said, hey, it's a couple of days till Christmas, but it's like, you might not see this until June, because that's when you look for that type of movie. You know what I mean? Not everybody watches them as they come out. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. Then I say that sometimes, like, yeah, it's a couple of days before Christmas. I have no idea when you're going to watch this review, but that's when it was recorded.
Sure. So do you have like maybe 1 or 2 other YouTubers? Did anyone influence you to do this? Do you watch these other folks on YouTube? You follow any of these people, or?
Not really. When I started out back in 2016, I was more involved in following other YouTubers, and that's kind of, I guess, probably a best practice. I haven't had anybody do it, but back then when I started out, other movie reviewers would contact and subscribe to my channel and say, hey, I'm also a movie reviewer. I'll subscribe to you. You subscribe to me. And so that happened early and often. And so, but that doesn't really happen as much anymore. I'm not sure why. And some of the guys that I was following, I don't get their content anymore. So I haven't really investigated, like, did they stop making it? Or for some reason, did I turn the alarm or the bell off and I'm not seeing it? But yeah, I don't, mainly the people that I watch now, like I said, are on TikTok, which is probably more of the sweet spot because they're usually under 3 minutes, where my reviews are like sometimes 10 minutes. So I don't think people watch all of them. But they at least hit the high level that helps me understand, okay, these are movies that maybe I want to see and review.
Well, you hit on, I'm friendly with a lot of YouTubers, and the thing is, the reason I like you is because, I like to listen to, I mean, sometimes at the last minute or two, I'll shut it off, but I pretty much listen to every single, the whole video. I mean, but it's, maybe a peak generation. It's one generation removed from me, a little younger than me, 10, 15, 20 years. They don't want to sit down and listen to something for 10 minutes,
Right.
10, 12 minutes. They want 2 minutes, 3 minutes, not even 45 seconds, a minute. So, I mean, to really do well, you got to maybe cut it down a little bit. Not for you. I mean, don't cut it down for me. I love it long, but some of the other people, like, they're going on TikTok and doing it shorter now because that's how you get, younger people, the attention span and such. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. No, I agree 100%. There was a period of time, I'd have to look back, but honestly, this was before, I don't want to say it was before TikTok, but it was before I knew about TikTok, right? I had the same foresight that, like, hey, maybe, some people would say that to me, your reviews are too long, I don't watch them all. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, that's good feedback. Again, I don't really want to change it because this is the way I do it, but what I could do, and there was a period of time where I would do my normal movie review and then I would do the review in 2 minutes. So I'd actually use my phone and set a timer and try and do the same type of movie review in 2 minutes and post both of them. So I would post a full length one and a 2-minute one. And I'll say I did that for 10 to 15 of my movie reviews at a certain time, maybe 2018. I'd have to look. And then I wanted to see, did that gain any traction? Like, did they get more views? And they didn't. So I stopped doing it. Now that was, again, 5 years ago, and maybe now I started doing some on TikTok. I did a couple of different TikTok ones that were obviously under 3 minutes or around 3 minutes. Now I didn't blow up on TikTok or anything like that, but I tried that, but I don't do that as much either. I should, try and I want to get back to doing that. So that I have a longer version, which I enjoy and other people enjoy, but then a shorter version that might be. But I feel with the shorter versions, I don't do anything special. I don't feel like, with the shorter versions, when I see other people on TikTok and how eloquent they are, like I said, they use, they do such a great job and they've got such a following. I feel that my shorter TikToks aren't as valuable in my eyes as maybe my full length reviews.
I happen to completely agree with you, to tell you the truth, but I mean, some people, it seems to be the way of the world now, which, it might be a commentary on the world, I'm not sure, but what you say is valuable. I mean, one man's opinion, what you say is valuable for 10 minutes, even though we just have fun watching movies and such. Megan, what you say is pretty valuable. 10, 12 minutes, give a story, tell, it's kind of nice, in my opinion. I like the old fashioned way. Hey, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Yeah. And I try and think of it as, hey, I give you an idea of what I'm going to be watching, right? So that's the first part. The second part is really, what is the plot line about? Because if you just read IMDb, you never really understand what it's going to be about. So I think that's valuable. And then if people care, basically the third part is what I thought of it, so if I could get people to watch the first 2 parts, that's good. And people stick around for the third part, that's really, what my thoughts were on the whole film. And so, everybody has a little piece.
Sure. Has anybody ever recognized you in your local town? Like, he's Kimmel's Irish Pub. Like, do people know you in town for Kimmel's Irish Pub and maybe the movie reviews?
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. No, that would be cool, but no, nobody has.
What about going to movie? I mean, I wish that this would happen to you because you're so good, like certified Rotten Tomatoes or something, like getting a real, this is what these people do, but they invest so much time and energy into it. I mean, it's unbelievable. I thought I actually have a channel. I reviewed a few movies, did some comedy, Dominick Spano channel, but it's just like, even to get, like, I praise you for getting over 500 people on the channel, because I had a little something. I didn't put that much effort into it. I got like 50, 52 people, 55 during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Mostly friends, some friends and stuff. But it's really not that easy.
No.
And what you do is really, I mean, I love movies, man. I love Jeff Kimmel. I love movies. I mean, it's always been something that I loved, and it sounds a little silly, but when you're going through difficult times a couple years ago, the YouTubers and movie reviewers, it could kind of get something as trifle as that could kind of get you through it. So you do more good work than I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. And I thought about, like you said, Rotten Tomatoes and that kind of thing. IMDb, you're allowed to write up reviews. I just did one for Sick. I don't know if you said you saw
I
that.
saw Sick.
Yeah.
I saw Sick. Yeah.
And I wrote something up for IMDb, and I did that for a couple of the other ones again to see how much traction do I get when I read what other people write as reviews. And again, they're like writers, and I'm not a writer, that's for sure, and they do a great job of writing everything out. And so I tried to do it a couple of different times, and not a lot of people found my written reviews very helpful. So I was like, that's a lot of work to do, if nobody's going to find that helpful. So I stopped doing that as well. But I thought of, like, now with all the tools that are out there, the AI tools, like if I could take my video and just have it scribed, then I could do that and pop that into IMDb as well, or things, and edit it, make it sure, so I wouldn't have to kind of cut down the work, but give the same review written as well as YouTube or video.
So what's your opinion of, like, maybe, years ago, I don't know, years ago, folks like you and me would go to the old fashioned movie theater to watch a movie because you couldn't get it on streaming. I'm actually a college instructor, and students in my class are maybe 20 years younger than me. And I tell them, the streaming didn't exist 20 years ago. It didn't really exist, 5 years ago. Now you just sit from your comfort of your own home or Kimmel Irish Pub and just watch whatever you want. Do you think the movie theaters are going to make it? Do you think that the old fashioned movie houses are going to make it? I haven't gone to a movie theater in maybe 2 years. It's pretty expensive. It's gas and time. It's expenditures, and like a Megan type of movie will be on streaming in 5 weeks. So I was like, just forget it. Just wait for that. You think movie theaters are still going to be around? Do you think that that's maybe going the way of the dinosaur here?
Yeah, I tell you what, if you would have asked me the same question a year ago, I would have said I think movie theaters are going away. Obviously that was more pandemic, but even before that, I'll say even before the pandemic, I thought to myself, movie theaters are going to be a thing of the past, because exactly right now with all of these, everybody's streaming, Disney, HBO Max, all that stuff, and then they're releasing more at home. But I think in the end, they are still gonna, at least for the foreseeable future, I see them coming around, because people still enjoy that experience of going into this huge movie theater. Not everybody has a Kimmel's Irish Pub, they don't have, so they really rely on going to the theater, and it is expensive, but they've done so much with the seating in them. I remember the old days, they were just a regular kind of seat. Now they have recliners. They have, some of them have bars and restaurants in them. They have cafes where you can get coffee. Back in the day, it was popcorn and soda. Now they've really done a lot to bring that back and entice people to come there. And I still think that there will be, I think there's not going to be as many movie theaters as there used to be, and now they'll continue to go down. But I still think there's a drive for people to go there and experience the actual theater, the whole theater experience in the movies there.
It was nice, and I'm sure when you were a younger guy, you probably, I don't know if you had kids at that point, but at least your wife take her, like, let's go out to the movies on a Saturday night. But when I was younger, it was like a big thing that we did as kids. Every maybe 2 times a month, we'll go to the movie house and watch something, because you couldn't get your hands on it.
Yeah, I remember as a kid. I was a kid. I have an older sister, and I'll say I was anywhere between 9 to 12 years old. In my town, I lived in a small town in Schuylkill County in Pennsylvania, right? And we had a 1 mile long town, but in that town we had a movie theater, and my sister would walk me and her to the movie theater, and that's where they had, you had Coke there and you had popcorn and the old seats, but we could go to the movie theater like they had movies every night of the week. It wasn't just like that, and they had that for a long period of time. Then that shut down, and then but at our local mall they had it, and that was a big thing. And so we were always going. My sister was always taking me, always going to the movie theater. And then it's funny, when I was just talking about, that experience of going to the theater, I thought of Avatar. So the newest Avatar is out, and that's like one that you want to experience on the big screen. I have a 92-inch screen, but that's not, what you're going to get. You're not going to get the same experiences the Avatar in the movie theater. And you mentioned my wife. We went before kids. We decided to go out to the movies, and we went to see the first Avatar. but we went out to eat first and we showed up late to the movie. Not late, but this was before you can get your seats online. So we bought 2 tickets, front row, for the 3D Avatar. My wife got sick watching it. We had to leave. Like that, it was all 3D. She's like, we had to leave. So that was a funny experience. But otherwise, I mean, you don't want to sit front row, but now you can even go in and pick out your seats, before you go, which is awesome.
How often I know Kimmel's Irish Pub, but do you make it like for an Avatar type? Do you still go to the movies every once in a blue moon for like a special type of one?
Yes. For something like Avatar, for any of the DC superhero movies, not Black Adam, but anything Superman, Batman, all those, I'll definitely, usually a lot of the Marvel ones, any Star Wars, any of my big ones like that, I will definitely go see in the theater, which makes it interesting. And sometimes I say that when I do a review. Now I've already seen the film because most of them I go in blind. I don't watch trailers. I only read what's on IMDb and that's it. But sometimes I go see them in the theater, but I can't do my review there. I have to wait until they come out streaming and then, do the review again and try and either I'll make people where I've seen it already, and here's my second thought, or I bluff and say, this is my first time seeing it.
That's okay. But it's interesting. I mean, things are changing. And I guess maybe the only other question I could think of till we wrap up is, what do you think of social influence? Actually, again, a college instructor, one of the chapters, this whole thing on social influences. I mean, this didn't exist when we were young. 10 years ago, I was, whatever age, it didn't exist. I mean, now I'm sure that maybe when you were younger, you would see the fireman or the police officer come to like student day or student who wants to have the job day, and everyone wants to be a fireman or a police officer. That's kind of like, I don't really want to do that anymore. I want to be a social influencer.
Right.
Like when you think of the whole social influence, it's kind of like a boom. Matter of fact, half the students in my class, I had to like evaluate their resume, and they said social influencer. So that's what they want. What's your 2 cents on the social influencer thing?
It's incredible. I tell you what, like, it's just, I don't think it's for everybody. I think there's people who have that ability. They have that charisma that people are going to follow them. I don't know about that, but thank you. But I do think that there are people out there who can be successful doing it. And when you say that, it gave me an example. I thought of this example of this one guy. I wish I knew that before I was in my 30s is like his thing, right? And he's always showing different like uses. Like, I didn't know this is how you use this thing. I wish, whatever the example is, and he has all those different things. And I thought he was entertaining, it's like, oh, I didn't know that's how you use, the spaghetti ladle and one full serving of spaghetti goes in there, right? That's an example. And he says, I wish I knew this before I was in my 30s, that this is what it's used for. And it's cute. And you find different things out. And I thought, oh, that guy's fun. Now he's working for Chevy. Now he's talking about electric cars. Like, this guy just came on TikTok and made all of these fun, interesting videos, just being himself and sharing. And I'm sure other people sent him things like, oh, did you know this? And then he would just put it together. Not like he thought of all these things. I'm sure he had resources as well, but he had a certain style about him and a way to present it that now Chevy reaches out to him and says, hey, talk about our electric cars. And then, so now he says, I wish I knew, that, I didn't need as much gas in my car with the, before I was in my 30s. And now I own a Chevy, whatever it is. And it's like, it's amazing because I liked him. I watched him, and now he's, trying to influence me to get a car. So that's the way of the world. I mean, everything, all businesses want to advertise. So if you can get big enough and get a following, you could start doing that on TikTok and on YouTube and stuff like that. And people really enjoy it. So right now it's all the craze, and that's where everybody gets their information, and that's how they're going to make purchasing decisions, is because of these people, that are on all of our social media platforms.
Social media, no, it's the way of the world. And I guess one final question before we wrap up, but then we could, I'll stop recording. We could still talk for a few minutes. What do you think is the future of Kimmel's Irish Pub? What do you want to see Kimmel's Irish Pub in the future? Yeah,
so I'm trying to think of how maybe I can expand. So Kimmel's Irish Pub, the movie reviews are going to continue. I'm going to continue to do that, and just, whatever's going to happen. I'm constantly thinking of different things that I could put up there that would entertain people, but then aligns with what I have, right? So I'll give you an example. if you look, there's different playlists, and one was a dash cam. I installed a dash cam because I used to drive 30 minutes to work and 30 minutes home, and I'm like, something interesting's got to happen, and I'm going to keep posting it. Nothing really happened on my drives, and I thought that was a cool aspect, and I was going to start putting that up there. But you know, that was the other thing. And then my kids, they play a lot of games, right? And that's the craze now. I mean, everybody just goes to YouTube and watches other people play video games. I'm like, that's crazy. Just play the video game. Don't watch other people. But people, there's a, you know, there's a interest in that. And I thought, well, maybe I should start recording my kids and putting that. But that's not aligned with Kimmel's Irish Pub. You know what I mean? Like it's more movies, you know, fantasy football and beer a little bit. But you know, I'm just trying to think what is the next thing that's going to be interesting. But I don't have anything in the back of my mind just yet. Ideally, another example, I mentioned trying to write my own movie, right? And I thought about, not that I have all that talent, but I think there's more resources out there that if I could put enough down that says, here's my plot line, you know, here's everything that I think should happen in a movie, and then use a resource to say, okay, well, this is how you want to break it down. This is, you know, your scene cuts, all that kind of stuff, and format it. Is there a way I could start putting that kind of content? Like here's a movie synopsis that I put together and put that up on YouTube. I haven't understand, is it going to be a storyboard, a cartoon, images, you know, with just words or something along those lines? But that's where my latest ideas has come. I thought, you know, I come up with these different ideas of a movie and then somehow make it available on YouTube.
I like that. I like that. It's, you know, I mean, I've always had the passion for the movies. I wish I could do it too, but it's just like you said, it's not that easy.
Right.
It's not that easy.
No.
It's definitely not that easy. I'll just, you know, well, after it's over, I'll press record and we'll talk for a few more minutes. But I just want to tell you, I think you do a fantastic, I mean this, I think you do a fantastic job with Kimmel Irish Pub. I mean, everyone else, you know, jumps around and dances around. Then I came across someone who just sits in a chair and kind of gives thoughts, but in a fun way, and doesn't do 500 takes and all this. And it's different in the best way possible, unique. And I kind of wish you shouldn't have 500 subscribers. You should have 500 million subscribers. I mean, I kind of wish more people found it. I wish I could give you the secret or the secret sauce of how to get people to find it. Maybe somehow this interview will do something for you. I don't know. I hope so, but it's, you don't know. I mean, it's to get people to watch is not an easy task. And I think that you do a very good job, Kimmel.
Well, thank you. I truly appreciate it. To be honest with you, I even stopped for a while of reading the comments, because there's a lot of people out there who are very mean-spirited, you know, and they would make fun of you, make fun of me, not, you know, and they would say, you know, poor things about me and stuff like that. And, you know, I get it if they disagree with my movie review, that's fine. You know, I have no issue. I appreciate you watching my video, but they were very targeted and mean-spirited. So I actually stopped reading the comments, kept making the reviews. And I think it was when you started coming and making comments, and I started, you know, maybe I should start reading them again. You know, you kind of get nervous when you go in and you start to read them because somebody's going to take a shot at you and say something. But you know, you just have to have a little bit of thick skin and just appreciate them. Hey, at least you watched the review. Sure, you made fun of me, but that's okay. At least you watched my review, you know, so.
You hit on something. I mean, I had a little YouTube channel, and once in a while I got that too, and I'm a little bit of a sensitive guy. It's pretty dreadful. I mean, oh, talks too slow, talks too fast, you know, I don't like the shirt, I don't like the hair, some stupid stuff. It's like, come on, man. I just sat down here and I watched a movie and give you free entertainment for 10 minutes. I mean, it's free, well, you pay for, you know, YouTube Premium, but basically it's free entertainment. I mean, you could if you really wanted to have a television and you don't read books like us, you could literally just spend all day on YouTube and get entertained. I mean, you could find pretty much anything on there. So right. I don't like that they would say that. And you seem like a tough guy. It doesn't seem like it got under your skin too much, I would think.
Yeah, just after a while, you know, a couple here and there, and then it was like, okay, and then more and more. And I think people, I think that's what they like to do. You know, they'll go find new YouTube channels and just make fun of people regardless of the content. So, but yeah, so now I'm back reading the comments again, and
I'm glad I brought you back, because at first I was making comments. I'm like, I don't really know if Kimmel's reading what I'm saying. Then I'm getting comments, and I see you dressed up in the beard and the Irish hat. I'm like, Kimmel reads it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kind of. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Jeff? Kimmel, Kimmel's Irish Pub.
No, I think that's it. I mean, I appreciate the interview. I think this is a great idea. I had a lot of fun, so I appreciate your support and today's interview.
My pleasure. All right, so I'm going to stop recording. We're going to talk for a few minutes here.
Okay.
And, thank you for anyone who watched. Thank you, Jeff Kimmel, and thank you, Kimmel's Irish Pub. Keep putting out beautiful content. We're going to stop recording now.
All right.